Hello, I'm Will from the internet, and welcome to another episode of Wrestling Rewind. On this episode, I'll be reviewing Wrestle Kingdom 7 from January 4th of 2013. The Wrestle Kingdom shows, which take place every year on January 4th, are New Japan's pro wrestling's biggest shows of the year. And from now, as I record this video, until January 4th of 2017, they are all available to stream for free at NJPW.com. I'll leave a link to that in the description of this video if you would like to check this or any of the other Wrestle Kingdoms out. This show opened with an 8-man tag match between Akebono, Manabu Nagishi, MVP and Strongman, against Bob Sapp, Takahashi Izuki, Toru Yano, and Yujiro Takahashi, who were representing Chaos. This was a good match to start off the show. I don't think it wasn't as fast paced as more recent Wrestle Kingdom openers that recently, if I remember correctly, have all kind of featured the junior heavyweight tag titles in quick paced matches, which I think is a better option to start off the show. But this was still good. There was a lot of brawling. It actually starts with some brawling on the mat, on the ramp. Just mostly a bunch of big dudes going back and forth. And it's a pretty good opener. Not overly impressive, but it's a good way to start off the show. The next match is Masato Tanaka defending his never openweight championship against Shelton X Benjamin. It starts off with some fast-paced mat-style wrestling. Benjamin has a crazy dive to the outside about halfway through the match, and after that, Tanaka sort of takes a clear advantage. There's a spot I really enjoyed where Tanaka gives Benjamin some stiff forearms in the corner, and Benjamin begins to take the momentum back until Tanaka takes advantage of some repeated interference from the outside, ultimately retaining his championship. The next match is the Killer Elite Squad of Davey Boy Smith Jr. and Lance Archer defending the IWGP Tag Team Championships against Sword and Guns, which is the team of Carl Anderson and Hiroki Goto. I'd actually not seen much of Anderson before he started teaming with Luke Gallows, and it was interesting to see him work babyface. Sword and Guns entrance includes Anderson wielding a t-shirt cannon, shooting him into the crowd, while Goto waves a sword around, which is pretty impressive. Archer enters on a motorcycle, and the Killer Elite Squad attacks Sword and Gun before the bell rings and are dominant early. The Killer Elite Squad has some excellent double team work. Again, I was really impressed by the way Anderson worked babyface, and I like Archer doing, as a heel, he's using a lot of the Undertaker's moveset, and I think it works well as a heel, both as a heel moveset in Japan and also as a kind of heel thing to do to take the Undertaker's moveset. Ultimately, the Killer Elite Squad retains their championship. It was a pretty good match. Up next is a match between Yuji Nagata and Minoru Suzuki. This match really shows what people talk about when they talk about Japanese strong style. They take turns kicking each other as hard as they can, take turns headbutting each other as hard as they can. One of the Suzuki Gun guys introduces a chair from the outside that both he and Suzuki use on Nagata. But ultimately, after a really hard-fought match, Nagata gets the victory. The IWGP Junior Heavyweight Championship is defended next. Prince Devitt is defending against Kota Ibushi and Low Ki in a triple threat match. Low Ki wrestled this match in a suit. This was a really impressive match. These guys all have a good mix of high flying and strong style. that made for a really interesting triple threat that Devitt ultimately came out on top. Known now in the United States by his WWE name, Finn Balor, retaining his championship here. Up next is a tag team match between Tenzan and Kojima against Keiji Muta and Shinjiro Otani. It was a good match. It definitely slowed down the pace from the rest of the show. But I was surprised how Muta, who American viewers may know better as the Great Muta, could still go in the ring almost 50 here. Ultimately, Tenzan and Kojima beat the old guys and pick up the win. Up next was a single match between Togi Makabe and Katsuyori Shibata. There's lots of headbutts to start off the match. Shibata then repeatedly kicks and forearms Makabe as hard as possible for about half the match. This is another good example of what people talk about when they talk about Japanese strong style. Makabe ends up putting Shibata through a table, but not like the weak sort of folding tables that WWE uses. When they put someone through a table, it was still a folding table, but it was one with some definite heft to it. Definitely, it looked more impressive than a regular table spot in the WWE. And every match move in this match really looked like it hurt. It was impressive, and Makabe ultimately picked up the win over Shibata. Up next was the IWGP Intercontinental Championship match. The Intercontinental Championship is valued a lot more in New Japan than it has been recently by the WWE. It's really a title that can main event shows, including Wrestle Kingdom 8, the Wrestle Kingdom after this that I'll be talking about in an upcoming Wrestling Rewind episode. This actually main evented the show. This match features Shinsuke Nakamura as the champion coming in, defending against Kazushi Sakuraba. The match opens with Stan Hansen. Stan Hansen gets the title belt for some reason. I know he has a long history with New Japan, but I'm not entirely sure why he's in this match in particular. Seeing as how, as far as I know, he had no connection to the Intercontinental Championship that's fairly new in Japan. But he takes the belt and kind of presents it to the competitors like you do before an opening match. There's a lot of MMA-inspired grappling early on. After a rope break that gets them off their feet, there's a period of stand-up that also kind of feels MMA-inspired and leads to a quicker back-and-pace stretch. Sakuraba lands a knee to the head that seems to rattle Nakamura. Then after some grappling, Nakamura returns the favor. This is a good, hard-hitting match that ultimately Nakamura wins to retain the Intercontinental Championship that's heavily tied to Nakamura at this point in New Japan's history. I think at this point there had still not been an Intercontinental Championship title change that did not involve Nakamura. So he was literally every other champion at this point. Up next is the main event with Hiroshi Tanahashi defending his IWGP Heavyweight Championship against Kazuchika Okada. This is actually the match that made me want to review this show. These guys actually have had a trilogy of Wrestle Kingdom matches, with this one being the first. They skip Wrestle Kingdom 8, but Wrestle Kingdom 9 and 10, they both main evented with this match. And this is why I decided to start with Wrestle Kingdom 7. Obviously, I wouldn't have time to review every Wrestle Kingdom while they were streaming for free. So I decided to start with the start of the Tanahashi Okada series, and I'm glad I did. During Okada's entrance, I kind of realized that his character, the Rainmaker character at this point in New Japan's history, kind of reminds me of the Bobby Rhodes glorious NXT character for some reason. So it's an interesting side note. The match is fairly slow-paced starting off with lots of headlocks. It seems to me like part of the story early on in this match was Okada kind of becoming impatient with the slower pace of the match, being over-aggressive, and that giving Tanahashi an edge. This basically is how the match goes for about 10 minutes, until for the first time fighting goes outside the ring, where Okada is able to use the environment to his advantage. Things even up once both men return to the ring, but Okada still has a bit of an advantage for this portion of the match. The match then really picks up about halfway through, as some quick-paced and hard-hitting action in the ring leads to a high-fly flow, one of Tanahashi's finishers basically, from the top rope to Okada on the outside. There's a spot I was really impressed by where Okada drop kicks Tanahashi off the top rope from the right. So Okada was in the ring, Tanahashi was on the top rope, and Okada leaps up to drop kick Tanahashi off the top rope. After which Okada moves the fighting to the entrance ramp where Tanahashi regains his advantage. I was actually a little caught off guard for a second here because the referee actually reaches the 10 count. I'd forgotten for a second that in Japan they actually have a 20 count. So for a second I was confused because I had not seen this match. I'd seen the other two Okada-Tanahashi matches. And I didn't think, I was almost certain that this didn't need a team count, and I didn't think New Japan would end their biggest show of the year in a count out. But like I said, I had forgotten that New Japan has a 20 count, and ultimately they got back in the ring before the 20 count. So Tanahashi brings Okada back in the ring at that point, where he has the advantage again until Okada gets his knees up, blocking a high-fly flow. Tanahashi ultimately reverses Okada's offense into an impressive series of suplexes and a successful high-fly flow for a near fall that at this point the whole crowd and myself seemed to buy. After some submission work by Tanahashi and another killer dropkick by Okada, it takes both men quite a bit of time to return to his feet, so it gives a moment for the audience to really catch their breath. After which Okada hits a tombstone, but his follow-up move is reversed. Okada attempts another tombstone, but Tanahashi makes his way out of it and hits a tombstone of his own and follows it with not one but two high-fly flows for the victory. Tanahashi is presented with the belt, cuts a promo that I couldn't understand because it was in Japanese, and then plays air guitar to close the show like he does. So overall, I thought this was a really good show. I was very impressed by it. The Wrestle Kingdom shows were always pretty good, and I definitely would recommend, if not watching the whole show, at least getting the some of the major matches and going on New Japan World and checking those out. So if you like this video, please like and subscribe to my channel. Comment with your thoughts on this Wrestle Kingdom show, or if you have any thoughts about shows I should review in the future. I've been Will from the internet, and thank you for watching.